The problem that we're solving today is how do you achieve balance in your fitness while you're a busy professional, while you're maybe trying to also raise kids, work a big job, be there for your partner, ravish them. How are you supposed to also then do everything in your life that's going on top of achieving fitness? So the problem here is that, there's time constraints to everything, right? You can't spend There's 24 hours in a day. I think we could all agree on that. And if we can't, go ahead and turn this off now. But 24 hours in the day. Let's say, for an example, that you sleep 8. Okay, so we have 16 hours left. Let's say you work 10 because you were just rock'em sock'em robots. You were trying to get up there. So that's 18 hours. So we've got 24. What is 24 minus 18? It is 6. So you've got 6 hours to allocate to other stuff. Like, let's say let's assume for a second that you're in a relationship, whether that be something that's more casual or something that's more deep and romantic and what have you. We're talking about a romantic relationship here, whether it's casual or serious. Let's say you allocate an hour, no more, just an hour, okay? Of that remaining 6 hours, we have 5. Let's say you also commute. You've got 2 hours going each way, maybe an hour each way. Let's say also you want to eat out, right? That gives you, outside of that, maybe that's 6, 5, and then we're talking about 2 hours, so then we got 4. That means you have 3 hours to figure out the fitness and everything else that you want to do in your life. Plus, you might want to watch Netflix or what have you, and neither here nor there. But what we need to figure out is how you can actually get fitness done while this is happening. So I will say this once, and I'll probably say this a ton more. You can't do everything always at the same time. So can you get a rock-solid body, juicy quads? Can you get a thick old booty? And can you also eat high-quality food, however you define that, and then also get your protein goal in every single day? Yes, but it is overwhelmingly difficult for you to do that while also drinking 14 gallons of alcohol a night. It's just really not going to happen. So what we need to figure out is consistency in your exercise, and I don't think that it could be argued that there is a benefit, there's an overall net benefit to getting more exercise in. Now, obviously, there's a law of diminishing returns. There's also a point at which, a cutoff point where then it becomes more than just getting your exercise in, and it's going to require more recovery, more food, more planning, more intentionality behind. But just for argument's sake, right now, we're just talking about regular exercise from sedentary to getting to a position where you are moving more. So what we are going to look at here is really the goal with this exercise that we're laying out here is regular movement, right? We want improved health, stress reduction, right? We want to decrease the probability of osteoporosis and sarcopenia, meaning, decrease the probability that we're going to lose muscle, right? And then also we're going to have more brittle bones. So that's something that we need to be in a position to do. Also, I would like to, unpack how we can still increase your energy and increase or enhance your productivity at the same time. So what we got to look at is we've got to adapt the fitness to your life, not your life to the fitness. And so in the beginning, this might look like you intentionally planning, time blocking, setting aside time to go to a gym, meet with a coach, use programming on an app, use your apartment gym, use your home gym, strap a book back on, and go outside. Planning is going to be really the first thing that you need to do here. Setting aside time allocated ahead of time for doing fitness. That's going to be number one. But what I want to be very clear on is that doesn't require you to go spend 3 hours in the gym. And in fact, if you're leaning on that requiring you to spend 3 to 4 hours in the gym, you probably won't be able to hit it. Not for very long, especially if you truly are doing all these other things in life. So that might look like walking to start, right? That might look like a 30-minute strength training session. That might look like doing yoga. That might look like doing P90X at home. That might also look like doing Black Swan yoga on your computer, doing Ramwa, doing anything. Like, the first goal here is going to be just start moving. And what I like to recommend for our clients and for myself is 6 to 12,000 steps a day should trump everything. Getting those steps to offset the sedentary nature of us sitting at desk and doing nothing solid, right? With doing that all day, every day would be step number one. And let's say that you've already got that. Okay, so you've got that into your life. Sweet. Let's look at then some weight training or resistance training, right? But if you don't have the steps, right, the best way that you can get that in, or the best way that I find that we've been able to help clients get that in, is splitting up half on the front end of the day and half on the back end of the day, or getting yourself to a position where you're walking on the top of each hour 5 to 10 minutes, okay? Either could work. A combination of the two could also work. Or, hell, before you go to work, you could just go walk an hour. Whatever you want to do there. So let's assume that you have the steps out of the way. So then overall movement, the second priority here is not going to be sprinting and carrying a sled and doing or dragging a sled and doing all kinds of craziness. The next goal here is going to be to do some sort of strength training. So the easiest way, right, for lower body at least, would be to go ahead and just load your walking. So your intentional walking, the 6,000 to 12,000 steps that we would prefer you to get if you were in and it's not a should, it's not a have to, it's not a must, but we found that 6,000 to 12,000 is pretty much a sweet spot. You don't need to hit the 10K that everyone touts. Just somewhere in that range would be more beneficial than not hitting that. And there's a lot of studies that you can go and look at and scroll through PubMed and start unpacking things if you'd like, but realistically just the range, right? The first way though that we can do resistance training or strength training is just go ahead and load yourself with the walking. A backpack or a rucksack, or having books in your backpack, having a weight vest on, like those are all easy ways to go ahead and jump in and just start getting some resistance training by just loading on our back. Now, obviously, then you got to do a little bit more mobility, do a little bit more warm up, be more intentional about making sure that your shins, your feet, and your knees are solid. But that is probably the easiest and most efficient way because you can just stack it. The next way to do that would be that you just look at how you can get the maximum output for the minimal input. And for me, what that really looks like is something that can be broken up throughout the day. And I did a reel not that long ago about exercise snacking, and that's something that you could definitely do if you wanted to. So that's like, what that means is just 5 to 10 minutes somewhere in your day, a couple times a day. You just break off and you bang out a handful of push-ups, you bang out a handful of pull-ups, you do air squats for a minute and a half and then keep it moving. You can definitely do anything like that. Exercise snacking, you can also stack those on the edges of your day. Maybe before you hop in the shower, boom, you're going to do a 5-minute little routine, right? Before you hop in the shower at night, assuming that you sweat all day and you take 2 showers, who knows? I don't know you. Wear the shoe if it fits. You bang out another 5 to 15 minutes of exercise. You can also stack exercise and intimacy on top of each other consensually, by the way. You can do that 100%. Now, that will require you to control your breathing. You get a little 2-for-1 there, but you can also do that, right? But if you're like, hey, James, that's cool, but I want a little bit more. Beautiful. You can do an intentional 15 to 30-minute circuit workout, body weight. That is a great way to start. And then you can also still load yourself a little bit heavier when you're doing your steps. That's totally fine. And that's something I would definitely recommend. But if you're like, hey, I'm already getting my steps, I don't want to do this exercise snacking thing, right? I'm already hitting consistency here, right? I want more, right? Then what I would say is find a place where you have kettlebells and dumbbells and find some programming that can get you squared away either on a 3-day, 4-day, or 5-day split. I would recommend, if you're new, to bite off less, right? 3 times a week is a great place to start. And just see where you're at, right? See what you can maintain and consistently do day over day and get into, 15, 30, 45-minute exercise routine 3 times a week to start, and then get your steps every day. You'd be good to go, right? And all of this really is it's a sliding scale, right? Where are you at and where are you trying to go? Because if you're trying to gain a ton of weight, right? A ton of muscle, right? You're going to be most efficient doing that, moving heavier loads with ample recovery, ample rest periods, tons of food. But if you're like, hey, James, I just want to slim up for summer and look better booty bone naked when I'm standing in front of the mirror, when I drop my towel, when my lady gets out of the shower, beautiful. Steps, strength training 3 to 5 times a week. So everyone's got different goals, and rather than just hit a broad stroke on everybody, if you need some specialized recommendations or you have a specific question, just drop it below. If this is on YouTube, just drop it below there or comment on the reel or send it to me in a DM. My email is everywhere. I'm happy to answer any questions, happy to help. And then let's say that like kettlebells and dumbbells are in a position where you're just like, yo, this isn't enough. Well, then maybe roll into some barbell work, right? You want to have programming that's going to push you, right? That's going to force adaptation in your body, but it's not going to be so overwhelming that you give up, right? Because if something's so overwhelming and you give up, unless you're trying to go to the league or you're trying to go to special operations or you're trying to do something that is physically taxing by very nature of it being your job, it might be better to just, hey, slow on ramp, right? You don't need to go from today eating out every single meal and drinking 15 sodas in a day to then starting trying to meal prep everything whole grains tomorrow. Like, that's probably not the most sustainable way to go. Would you be best if you did that? Sure, if you kept on it. But point to me the majority of the people that make that hard of a shift and stay on it. Right? How many people do you know have done 75 hard that worked really well while they were there, but the minute they got done, they gained all the weight back? It's because it's not sustainable, right? It's very difficult to then map the rest of your habits around that because the way that 75 hard is set up, it puts you in a position, right, where you're being extremely intentional about what you're doing and you're being extremely restrictive when compared to the average person, okay? When compared to the average American diet or, you know, what most people do, what most people eat, it's difficult, right? Does it mean it's bad? No. No. Does it mean it's good? No. It does work for the 75 days for sure, especially if you're not used to that kind of thing. Absolutely. So utilize it if you want, but you don't even have to go that crazy. You don't even have to go that crazy at all, right? And on the fitness portion here, you know, outside of just, it's quick and effective first, right? We're going steps, then body weight, you know, steps, exercise snacking. Then from exercise snacking, we're going to effective body weight workouts. Then we're moving over to kettlebell dumbbell stuff. And then outside of that progression, you know, you can get into, if you want to knock out two birds, one stone, again, with some cardiovascular training on top of also just some strength training, you can do that too, man. You know, CrossFit would be a solid place to go. You go anything that's cross training. You could do anything that's more power building, right? Chalk Performance has a solid program for that. You could just drop into a CrossFit gym. Or if you're like, hey, I don't want to do barbells, you go to F45, right? You could go to, you know, you could be a cardio bunny and go to Orange Theory if you want. That's fine, right? Whatever. It's your own adventure. Choose what you want to do, right? If you have aesthetic goals, more than just let me move that ass goals, then I could tell you that there's probably better scenarios to get into than others. But I mean, we're not going to fitness shame here. Do what the hell you want to do. But if we're going to walk it back and say like, okay, we got the actual like intentional exercise there. What you can also do to make sure that you're in a position where you have a little bit of balance in your fitness routine, just overall, you can put yourself in a position where you're doing a little bit of desk exercise, right, while you're at work. So maybe that looks like couch stretch. Maybe that looks like, you know, you doing specific movements. You could get a walking little in-home treadmill. You could do that for sure. You could take breaks and stretch your hamstrings, stretch your quads. Get up on a so right and loosen yourself up. You could do pec stretch. You could do all this kind of stuff in between, like on calls if you're not on video, between calls, between bathroom breaks. You could do some lunges. Like there's so many things that you can do. You just got to figure out what makes sense for you right now and what's going to move you towards the goals that you have. And I don't get to tell you what your goals are, right? So a more intentional plan to get you to goals is going to be obviously what slides you there faster, but you do not have to be in a position where it's like perfection or nothing. You do not need to be in that position at all, and I would actually recommend that you don't jump into a place where you try to take on 1,500 things at the same time. Just one step at a time, literally one step at a time, and see where we're at. So you can also, to establish the fitness side, to have balance there, using tech, right? Apple Watches, Garmin watches, Fitbits, Trainerize, My Accountability Plus. There's a lot of apps that can track a lot of things. I would not recommend that you use them to track your calories burned because it's wildly inaccurate. It's been proved incorrect measurements over and over by many studies. I would recommend that you use it to track your steps, and I would recommend that you use it maybe to log some food. You can go MyFitnessPal, or there's some other stuff there. But technology can be great to also plugging in your exercises, your rest periods, your sets, your reps, and the weight that you did, because tracking that will make it a whole lot easier to progress faster, right? And then realistically, after the technology, we're talking about consistency. Okay, the consistency is probably the most important thing. Forget all of these recommendations, right? Find what works for you to start and just be consistent on it, right? Give me 28, 42 days, 96 days, literally 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, 5 month, 6 month. You can change your life by making a few small shifts and consistently doing them day over day. So at the end of the day, right, we're looking at figuring out what part of adapted fitness is going to be best for you, making sure that we hit regular exercise, regular movement in general, okay? Whether that is just walking, that is exercise, snacking, and walking, that is, body weight, more interval training, right, and walking, or if that's kettlebell dumbbell, or if that's barbell, that's in-gym, CrossFit, F45, Orange Theory, whatever, something is going to be better than nothing, right? Always. One is always greater than zero. Even 0.01 is greater than zero. And then just bite off what you can chew, right? If that's 3 times a week in the gym and then walking outside of that, beautiful. If that's only walking right now, cool. We all have enough time in the day to get exercise in, but it can't be a happenstance. It has to be a priority. It has to be something that is scheduled, and it has to be something that you put it at on the top of the day. When it's coming, right? And I want to take something out of Jocko's book here real quick. Not his actual book, but how he does fitness. Him and Rogan love to do this, right? So they will intentionally try to work out every single day. And the only rest days that they take, and now, to be clear, they're not slamming weights every day, all day. But the only rest days that they take are on the days where life happens and you can't get there, right? Now, this means that most weeks they're working out 5 to 7 days a week. Okay, I'm not saying as a newbie that you need to do that. I'm not saying that you have to do that to get gains. And in fact, if you want to look the best in the short run, 3 days of strength training and walking 6 to 12 a day and controlling your food is going to be the most efficient way to get there. But regardless of any of that, the challenge is just fitting it in, right? Where can you get it in? If you're working a ton, it is hard to dedicate the time aside. And at some point, you're going to have to do it, whether that's 10 minutes a day or that's 2 hours a day. You're going to have to do it. So why not start today, right? Forget the technology. Forget the type of exercise, right? Forget doing stuff at your desk. Just doing something day over day will put you in a better position to succeed in the long run. And you can do it, but it's a conscious decision. It will not happen by itself. I hope that helps. And if you have found this or any of our episodes valuable up to this point, I would greatly appreciate you sharing with a friend. The only way that this grows is you send it to somebody, you like it, you reshare it, you repost it, you tell your mom about it, you tell your dog about it, you send it to your girlfriend, what have you. The only way that we grow at True Capacity Talks here is going to be with your help, with your support, and I really appreciate everyone that's given me their most valuable asset, their attention, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Peace!